Thank you very much. Good afternoon. This is the Committee on Water and Land on its agenda item for Aloha Friday, March 22nd in room 229 at 1 p.m. We do have several appointees to our commissioners who we always are thankful that we have people from the community that put themselves up to serve on commissions. Just some housekeeping announcements. For all the testifiers as well, we'd like to have you stand on your written testimony for your testimony, and you have 1 minute to proceed. Otherwise, it may extend if there's questions coming from the committee members. The content of this hearing can be found on our legislature's website. The live video stream and archive of the hearing is on the Senate's YouTube channel. And decision-making today will occur after we hear from our testifiers and the items on the agenda. We will proceed. IT is GM 647, Mr. Barca on Zoom.
He is not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, I understand he is on Kauai, but what we'll do is we will put him at the end of the agenda after we do the three nominees of the Legacy Land Conservation Commission. So we'll proceed then, and also if Mr. Baca is online IT, if there's communications between you, then we will get to him after the three commissioners. So we're pleased, committee is pleased to introduce and at our hearing for confirmation process, we have GM 640 submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Legacy Land Conservation Commission, the GM Alexandra Kelly Polo for a term to expire June 30th, 2028. And our commissioners are noted by a number. So Alexandra is GM 640. Aloha and good morning.
Aloha, Chair Inouye, Vice Chair Alapante, Senator
And
Favela.
okay, good morning, and let me also
Good afternoon.
go with the testifiers first, but you can remain here as well. We do have a DLNR. Emma, are you going to be introducing our nominee for the agency? Please come up. Yes.
Aloha. Just standing on our testimony and support, and I'll let Alex do the introduction. So, yes, aloha.
Okay, we'd like to add with this nominee, Alexandra, that you have a great support base. Just to let you know that testifying for Ala Kahakai, the National Historic Trail, Eric Arakaki sends communication in support, as well as the Office of the Mayor has sent communications in support from Jean Miskovich and Deanna Sacco, as well as from Hamana Ventura, who I'm sure you're aware of. Testifying, we do have Kohala Kahakai, that's Malama Kohala Kahakai. Gail Baber, are you on Zoom? IT?
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, she did say she would be on Zoom. However, she has sent some nice words on behalf of you. Kohala Lihikai, Joseph Cavallo, are you on Zoom?
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
All right. Okay, you also have communications all in support from Moku Okeawe Land Conservancy, Debbie Hecht, Megan Lamson from the Hawaii Wildlife Fund. And for anyone I'm calling, IT, if they're just decided to be on Zoom, please alert me. Trust for Public Land, of course, Leah Hong, Regenerative Organic Probiotic Practices Hawaii, Clarence Baber, Kamakani o Kohala Ohana, Tony Whittington, our dear old friend, Angie Onaka, Janet Britt, Kawi Lucas, William Keone Fox, Josetta Keon, Burl Blake, I believe, and let's see. Okay, all in support. And welcome, Alexandra. We're so pleased. The committee thanks you for your continued efforts in the community. And we're so happy that you have responded to the governors and the committee of Legacy Land at DLNR of your kokua and your assistance to help the Legacy Land Commission, the Advisory Commission, which is so important to protect our lands, and we welcome you.
Mahalo.
Oh, okay,
Is
okay,
she available on Zoom?
okay. Yes, IT, is someone waiting? We can, yes.
Nikolai Barca
Okay,
is online.
We will put him at the end since we decided we're going to do the Legacy Land Commissioners. So if he don't mind giving us several minutes, then we'll get to him. I'm on GM 640. Let us continue with this. Thank you, IT. Okay, proceed. Thank you. I'm sorry.
No, thank you so much for all of your time. And aloha, Senator Chang. Okay, so I guess just very briefly, I've lived on Hawaii Island my entire life. I was raised on the Kona side. I reside in Hilo now, and I absolutely love my community. I love to volunteer in the community. It just gives me so much, I don't know, what's that word? It just makes me feel so good to help in many different ways. But I guess my journey with the conservation part of my life started with the County of Hawai'i. I am so honored to actually be a part of this program that, I was there from the beginning. I got to see it grow into what it has become, and to save all these lands in Hawaii Island, and it's so important lands in our community. And it's all of these people that you just read. They're the ones that are, it's like it takes a team effort to save lands. It's not an easy process, right? So, working for the county and doing the work that we did to save the lands, it's the community, it's the ohana, it's the conservation organizations, who come forward with these properties and tell us, hey, protect. It's going to be developed. The owner wants to sell, and it's so hard to be here today because I'm trying not to cry. It's very emotional for me because I feel like being with the county, being with this amazing program, and then also with the Legacy Land program, we were able to go to this program and receive funding to save so much lands on Hawaii Island. And it's just having these two programs that I think Legacy is going to be 20 years old next year, and have saved thousands of acres, and the county, thousands of acres, but there's so much work that still needs to be done.
Well, we're happy to have the state, at least in the legislature, recognized that we need to protect. We're an island state.
Yes.
We're a tropical state. And there's so much lands available, as you indicated, that we need to look to the future and make sure that the special places needs to be preserved.
Yeah, I drive along the Ka'u coastline, North Kohala. That's the areas on our island that's gotten the most, funding from all the different programs. But I tell my kids, do you understand that this is forever? It's a legacy. It truly is a legacy. So being on a commission that is a legacy, I don't even know how much more honored I could be to be on this commission.
Well, let me say I was so pleased and started when the commission decided to look at the lands in North Kohala, and that was the most recent lands that were added to this land conservation district. To me, I thought North Kohala at one time, years and years ago, there were plans for resorts from Mahukona all the way up to below Upolu Point. And I'm so happy with this last acquisition for Hawaii Island.
Yes.
But also there's so many more. There's precious lands out there as well. The chair would, members, I just want to add to the responsibility of this Legacy Land Conservation Commission. And for those on Zoom land or those that will be reviewing this, what's happening on YouTube and on Zoom, I need to explain what we're here for. And the responsibilities of the Legacy Land Conservation Commission shall include, but not limited to, advising the department and the Board of Land and Natural Resources on any proposal, public or private, for the acquisition of any interest or rights in land having value as a resource to the state. They're advising the department and the board on any request for grants from the fund to a qualifying state or county agency or nonprofit land conservation organization for the preservation of lands having value as a resource to the state. Recommending to the board the acquisition of interest or rights in certain lands having value as a resource to the state, and reviewing and adopting rules relating to the criteria it applies in advising the department and the board and making recommendations to the board regarding land acquisitions and grants made pursuant to this chapter. And we are pleased, members, our GM 640, Ms. Alexandra Kelly-Polo, who is one before us today. Any questions of her? Senator Alafante.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for flying all the way from Hilo here, and thank you for being present and also making time to meet with me. I did ask this question when we did meet, but just so that we can kind of have it here on record, is knowing that your employer is Hawaiian Electric, how would you approach issues if issues of your employer were to come before the commission, and what would be your process and thinking behind that?
I would definitely recuse myself from the meeting immediately if I'm aware that there's any conflict whatsoever, and of course consult with legal counsel to do so.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further questions of Ms. Kelly Polo?
Excuse me, Chair, we have one Zoom participant that would like to testify.
On this GM 640?
Yes.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, aloha, Senators. This is Gail Byrne-Baber calling in from North Kohala. And I don't think I need to be here to testify in favor of Alexandra because her resume and her experience speaks for herself. But I wanted to take a moment and just say what an outstanding individual she is. It is rare, I think, to see someone with such passion, but it's also matched by skill set, knowledge, and on-the-ground experience. She has so much experience with coordinating multi-million-dollar conservation purchases for the county, including conservation easements. She understands the mechanics of real property purchases, but more than that, she understands land use. She's had a lot of on-the-ground experience understanding natural resource management, agriculture, you name it. And she is a community advocate. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with her. And I work with a number of nonprofits in North Kohala and have now for over 25 years on preserving open space up there. And she has been an absolute pleasure to work with. She has supported our efforts in any way she possibly can, bringing all sorts of resources to the table, relationship, you name it. She is a can-do person. So I just wanted to take the time to stand here as an individual and also as a member of the board of directors of Kohala Lihikai, who represents 5 different nonprofits in Kohala, and say, we are so grateful and thankful to Alex for all her fine work. And I don't think you could find a finer, more qualified commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Good hearing from you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay. Members, IT is Mr. Barca from Kapa'a, Kauai for the Game Management Commission on Zoom.
Yes, he is.
Okay, members, I did say we were going to take the legacy land, but because Mr. Barca has had a busy schedule this morning, and we appreciate him taking a few minutes from his busy day. If you don't mind, since he's the only one on the game management, I'll proceed with going back to the original. You may have a seat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. The Committee on Water and Land will then take up GM 647, and this is submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Game Management Advisory Commission. And the GM 647 is Nikolai Barca for a term to expire June 30th, 2027. And members, Mr. Barca has completed his first term and is up for another term. We appreciate him doing that as well from his busy schedule. And for those that are here as well, Mr. Barca, I won't take much of your time. We appreciate your presence on Zoom. Welcome.
Aloha.
Okay.
Anybody have
Yes.
any questions for me or anything?
All right. Since Mr. Barca is on, members, any questions of Mr. Barca? And appreciate the efforts that he's put in with regards to the work for game management. So the question is, since you're up for another term, how has your mission been going with the commission so far? Any activity that we should know that happened, or pretty much it's a new commission? And so have things pretty much settled and everybody's doing their work on each county?
Yeah, and we talk a little bit. Of course, we should probably talk more between the commission members, but we did have a meeting recently, and I gave a presentation on trying to encourage, trying to make the case for the need for more backcountry shelters for hunters, and that went really well. Before that, I think we hadn't had a meeting for a while. Part of it was, I feel we might have got spooked from a controversial meeting that occurred a while back. But yeah, I think we're starting to get back into the flow of things now. So
During our conversation as well, I think I reminded most of you that hopefully you're visiting the neighbor islands as well in your meeting dates. It's so important because many of the lands and most of the lands has to do with either lease from the state or private ranch lands that we hope that you can hold some meetings on the neighbor islands as well. Have you had any meetings since the organization started? Oh, okay. All right. Are you able to hear us?
are you asking me?
Okay, all right. Okay, we have someone here. And our
Jason
DLNR. Okay,
I help
Mahalo.
manage the commission, so if you have questions about meetings or where we meet, I'm happy to address them.
Okay, since it's a new commission as well, I think you're going on your what, 4 years, 3
They
years?
started in 2016.
Yes, okay. And have you had any, are you on Zoom most of your meetings or in person?
Pre-COVID, we met all over the state, so we would meet on different islands. During COVID, we met virtually. Eventually, we were allowed to meet in person and virtually. And so the commission decided that it was easier for everyone to meet in Honolulu, but we are talking about rotating different islands. We may develop meetings that are more island-centric. So, you know, when we go to that island, we're just kind of focusing on those topics for that island. And so those are things that we're going to discuss now that we have a couple new members and other folks' terms being renewed.
Great. Well, why I bring this up is we've had meetings with DLNR regarding state leased lands, and we've heard from the cattle industry as well. And we're pleased that many of them are working in cooperation with the hunters, allowing them to get on lands. But hopefully when you get to the neighbor islands, in particular those on the Big Island where more of the private lands that are leased, that you will at least do early notification of your meetings. So please send notes to to whoever is out there that you'll be meeting, and able to, hopefully that those regarding the hunting areas will at least show up, and a good communication can
Yeah, we
be
try to
handled.
provide as much notification to people that request it from us, or a lot of this information is on our website. We have mailing lists of 20,000 strong that we can push information out to, so we'll do our best.
Yeah, and another thought too, I had a dear friend years and years ago in the area of West Hawaii, like Kalopa, going on Mauna Kea, and there was a certain person who was very, very active, who had a good business as being an hunter organizer with the visitor industry. And it was great because you have an organized group that can handle hunters. And of course, at that time, it was pretty difficult because we didn't have TSA bringing in guns on your trips of visitors coming in. And so hopefully that we can generate a lot more communications with regards to hunting, particularly when it has to do with visitor industry and tourism that like to do game hunting.
We have a lot of non-residents coming into the state to hunt, and if you read our Wildlife Revolving Fund report on the deal on our website, you can see information on statistics and get a bunch of good information from them.
And I'm sure they're all on it as well. Members, any questions for our GM 647 or questions from DLNR? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Nikolai. We will be making decisions after our interviews today, and take care. Okay, members, let's proceed then to GM 641, and this is submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Legacy Land Conservation Commission, GM 641, Elizabeth Robinson, for a term to expire June 30th, 2028. And we have, let's see, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for taking time to be here. We know you did some traveling as well, so to get here. We appreciate the time you've been afforded to be part of this very popular and important commission as well.
Thank you.
We have Emma DLNR with regards to GM 641.
Aloha. On behalf of the department, we want to offer our testimony and standing in support.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Share with us why you decided to accept the nomination in your busy schedule.
Thank you. It's actually great that Alex went before me, because I do feel like I stand on the shoulders of giants in this area of conservation. As she mentioned, many of the Legacy Land Conservation Commission's purchases or conservation easement funding have been in support of where I live, which is Kohala. So I've been doing, it's hard to do one of these without becoming passionate about the work. What it means to our local communities and to the integrity and health and well-being of our local communities to have the lands that are important to them protected. I also feel very strongly that it's important that the legislation, the program encompasses both things that have cultural and biological conservation values, as well as agricultural conservation values, because the two really go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. And even this last group of applicants, the Gail who was just speaking, their Farm was one of the applicants, and I think that this is a really good way for us to manage lands and conserve them in perpetuity is through agricultural conservation easements as well as the other conservation easements. So passionate about this, hoping to be able to learn from my colleagues on the commission and expand, bringing what I can bring to the table across the Pai'aina.
Okay, thank you. We've received communication testimonies from Eric Arakaki. This is as well as Olu Campbell and Joe Carvalho, Cheryl Kauhane, Lupe Nui, and Matthew Beal in strong support of your nomination as well. Members, any questions of Elizabeth? Okay, hearing none. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's proceed, members, with GM 679, and this is submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Legacy Land Conservation Commission. GM 679 John Sinton for a term to expire June 30th, 2028. And members, he is has served his term, one term, and putting himself up to this important commission. And we appreciate the work you've done as well. Emma, DLNR.
Once again, offering our testimony in support, and also wanted to note his many years of service, not only on the Legacy Land Commission, but also on the National Area Reserve System Commission as our geologist. So thank you so much.
You know, we're very pleased that the agency and the statute required, you know, so many of different diverse groups and members. And so far, the Legacy Land Conservation Commission, I think, is one outstanding organization by DLNR to just find these qualified people out there, you know, and we appreciate that work as well. Okay.
Of the crop here.
Yes, thank you, Emma. Also, let's see, we're on 679. Leah Hong sends communication on your behalf in support, as well as Garrett Puzen Ito testifying for the Department of Earth Sciences at the University of Hawaii, John Huffman, Chip Fletcher, Kaui Lucas, and Burrow Blake. Good afternoon and welcome back to the Capitol.
Thank you.
Okay. So, from what you've experienced in the first term, anything that you'd recommend that the commission can look forward to, or matter of fact, we should catch up. Are there any pending, since you've already served your 4 years, any pending lands soon, or you can share with the commission, our committee?
Yes. Well, we just had our set of meetings about 3 weeks, a month ago, something like that, where we reviewed 5 applications, and we're submitting several of these to the, we're recommending to the board that they be fully funded. Some outstanding applications this year again. So we're pretty excited about what crosses our agenda.
So since you already had have a list before the commission, and I guess it's still public record, so can you share like the 5 that you're looking at on what islands?
Okay, let me back up. So, well, we ranked them after hearing from the applications. There were 2 extremely highly ranked projects. One is near Waikoloa, kind of an exceptional one.
Anai Ho'omalo?
Yes, right by Ho'omalo. Anai Ho'omalo, yes. And in this case, it was particularly exciting that the lineal descendants are the core of the nonprofit that will eventually steward this land in future and in perpetuity, in fact. So that was a very well-received application from that group. On the island of Oahu, we had the local ea fish pond in Hawai'i. The Malama Local Ea Foundation was the applicant in partnership with the Trust for Public Land. Another super project that we were very excited by, and Malama Local Ea this would give them a chance to actually acquire a small parcel, which turns out to be the land where the Liliuokalani Queen's, her kind of, she had a residence up there, a summer residence, I believe. And so this particular piece of land had both that historical cachet for us and cultural, but also the ongoing work that Malama Local Ea does with school children. Thousands a year come through there and work at the fish pond under the direction of Malama Local Ea. So that was another. There's a farm parcel in Kohala that my fellow applicants here for review were both involved with, I believe. And that also received very high ranking.
Where is that in North Kohala? I'm familiar with the district.
Maybe.
O'Eo Road.
Oh,
It's right below.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
down to
Okay.
the north from Hawaii.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So going Makai then?
Going Makai.
Oh, okay.
yeah, going Makai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that was an interesting one and somewhat different in that the property owners there have applied for an ag easement to keep it in ag in perpetuity. So this, as you probably are well aware, the development pressures are very high
Sure.
in Kohala. This will ensure that this property will stay in ag in perpetuity.
Okay, so Emma, maybe you can kind of help with this question I was going to ask. So when there's a purchase such as, okay, now you mentioned one that, is it now under Liliuokalani Trust, the one that you had mentioned?
Yes, it is.
So if, my understanding is Liliuokalani Trust always did good work about keeping their lands, but on the preservation side, so if it's under Queen Liliuokalani Trust, then if we decide to take it over, so who manages that particular parcel or other parcels when you have acquisitions?
Well, I believe a lot of these projects, the state isn't taking over the easement or the land. It's actually
Yeah.
the nonprofit.
Right.
We're giving funding for the nonprofit to hold the easement. And so in that case, I believe the easement would be held by the nonprofit, and they would continue to manage the land.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the one that, the future acquisitions for the ag lands designation, but that property, because that easement will already be dedicated. So, but they can do the activity as they wish. So they can continue if they want to do ag activity on the land?
They'll still own it,
Yeah.
but the
Okay.
easement will be held, I think, by Hawaii County, is that correct?
Local County Land Conservancy.
Oh, yeah.
The
Okay.
land trust, yeah.
When you have an easement as opposed to an.
Come on, yeah, come, because there are people that we'd like to make sure
Yes.
on Zoom that would like to hear, how we manage the lands, yeah.
So
Because sometimes it's difficult for us to understand
Yes.
our people, because if they say, okay, Legacy Land Commission has acquired, then, okay, so what happens to the land after that?
Right, so the commission is providing funding for an acquisition, but the acquiring entity is generally speaking a nonprofit, or actually the first commission meeting I attended, together with Hamana Ventura from Ponk, because we were seeking a 50% match for a private parcel to be acquired by the county of Hawaii.
Okay, and that's
So-
the egg parcel?
So no,
No.
these are, that was Kapanaya.
Oh,
So
okay.
straight out, lands that were Kamehameha the first associated lands. So so setting aside the ag easement, almost all of the purchases, Legacy Land Conservation Program is providing funding for an
the
acquisition by a
by the
nonprofit
nonprofit.
that will then steward it. Similarly, when either a farmer or rancher applies for an agricultural conservation easement or it could be it could also be a lo'ikalo. It could be traditional Hawaiian agriculture or for a conservation easement. So for example, at Mahukona or Amy Greenwell Garden, that funding for the conservation easement is then a part of the package. And as Alex was saying, the land trusts are the ones that under the federal law actually are set up to hold the easement, although the underlying land stays with the landowner. Does that make sense? But we purchase them with Legacy Land Conservation funds.
Right. And I think many folks out there probably really don't understand, and neither, we all need to be educated as well. And so, it's just a wonderful program.
It's technical.
So with regards to the Lo'i acquisition, then that particular community and the nonprofit will
Continues
take
to
care of
steward.
it. But
Yes.
it'll be there in perpetuity for
Yes. Just
for
to clarify,
generations.
the main part of that you're referring to the fish pond, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the fish pond, the main part of the fish pond is actually owned by Kamehameha Schools. But there's a parcel of land on the edge of the fish pond that's currently owned by Lilio Kalani Trust. But they are a willing seller,
Okay, so that's the parcel that,
yeah, where the
Then
Queen's
you're
residence was. And just one other kind of minor clarification, we just make recommendations for acquisition, unless the state is an applicant, which they are sometimes. DOFA sometimes comes to Legacy Land for funds. We just recommend funds be made available usually to the nonprofits who are the applicants and who will own the land or hold the easement or whatever the nature of the application is.
and is that process true, the same for the national parks? Like Emma, the acquisition that Hawaii Volcanoes National Park did with, did they extend up to Kahuku?
Yeah, so
So it becomes part of the national park system then?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different pathways actually that a legacy land parcel could have. So similarly to a national park, federal purchase of a land that then becomes a park, the Legacy Land Commission has recommended funding to then buy private land that becomes state land and becomes a natural area reserve or a forest reserve. And so that's one pathway. And then another pathway is these conservation easements that we just were discussing or outright purchase by a land trust and that sort of thing. So those are kind of the different ways that Legacy Land program is able to conserve these lands in perpetuity.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all getting educated oftentimes here as well, but for the general public out there who would get onto YouTube, I think this is important for our people to understand.
Yeah, because
that
we're always looking for
preserving
more.
lands for the
Yeah.
future is
Yeah.
the future for
Yeah.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
for
thank
your
you, Emma.
attention.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Yes, Senator Favela.
Yeah, starting to look like you. Anyway, my concern is, this is a great program in preserving the land. But my concern is, and I don't know, Senator Inouye knows this too, and I noticed in the last few years, since I've been in this square building, that Queen Liliuokalani Trust is selling off the land. And as you were saying about keeping the land for future, are you guys looking into, when it has something to do with that, the legacy, to try to purchase these lands or try to convince an entity to, because these are falling in, Queen Liliuokalani Trust lands is being sold off. They keep changing directors and people in power, and everybody get their own idea, and they keep selling it. These lands was not supposed to even have been in any way of being sold, but it is. Kmart Place in Kona, a lot of places with a court building. So a lot of places are being liquidated under the different organizations, and not too much like how Senator Inouye said, nobody there in TV land knows that this is happening. And this is very devastating when you look at the amount of acres that we're losing. So I know one of my smart colleagues told OHA that they should buy and purchase some of these lands to keep it going, because it's falling in foreign hands, and we're not gonna get them. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Well,
So there's anything that you guys ever looked into, something like that?
well, it's not that we feel this is exactly part of our responsibility, but I can tell you that in this case where Liliuokalani Trust was the willing seller, we were delighted that they were willing to sell to this nonprofit who had spent the last almost 20 years stewarding the fish pond in Hawai'i, the local area fish pond. And that this arrangement between Liliuokalani and Malama Loko'ea Foundation had come to pass, because the alternative might have been, as you say, that Liliuokalani Trust might sell to a developer. In fact, the development pressure is very high right up there around Hawai'i. So we were pleased that, although we have no position on whether Liliuokalani Trust should be selling their land or not, but if this parcel is going to be sold, we're glad that it's coming to this nonprofit who will use it to continue and enhance their cultural and educational work that they do up there, as well as stewarding the fish pond itself. So this looked to us like a kind of a win-win. The land was available, the seller was willing, and there was a very capable nonprofit willing to take it over.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you
So much. Okay, thank you so much. We'll go into decision-making on the Water Committee on Water and Land hearing notice of Friday, March 22nd, 2024. Okay, Chair's recommendation then for GM 647, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Game Management Advisory Commission, GM Nikolai Barca, for a term to expire June 30th, 2027, and the recommendation is to advise and consent. Any discussion? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
Chair's recommendations to advise and consent on GM 647. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Chang. Aye. Senator McKelvey is excused. Senator Favela.
Aye.
Madam Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you. For the three GMs, Chair's recommendation is to do the vote do one vote for the three GMs before us. Okay, Chair's recommendation on GM 640, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Legacy Land Conservation Commission, Alexandra Kelly Polo, for a term to expire June 30th, 2028. Including GM 641, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Legacy Land Conservation Commission, GM Elizabeth Robinson, for a term to expire June 30th, 2028. And GM 679, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Legacy Land Conservation Commission, GN John Sinton, for a term to expire June 30th, 2028. Chair's recommendation is to advise and consent. then on GM 640, GM 641, and GM 679. Any discussions? Okay. Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendations to advise and consent on GM 640, GM 641, and GM 679. Of the 4 members present on Water and Land, any no votes? Any votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendations are adopted.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you so much. This concludes the hearing of the Committee on Water and Land. Okay.